Blackhead prevention works best when it is gentle, consistent, and realistic, because blackheads usually do not appear all at once but tend to form gradually as excess oil, dead skin cells, leftover sunscreen, makeup, sweat, and ordinary daily debris collect inside the opening of the pore, and slowly create a compact plug that darkens after exposure to air. So the smartest long-term approach is not to attack the skin with force, but to keep the skin calm, clean, balanced, and less congested over time. A simple routine is often more helpful than an aggressive one. Cleanse the face in the morning, and again at night with a mild cleanser and lukewarm water, because very hot water can strip the skin, leave it feeling tight and reactive, and create that frustrating cycle in which the face feels oily and uncomfortable at the same time. Use clean fingertips rather than rough washcloths, harsh scrubs, gritty exfoliants, stiff cleansing brushes, or repeated friction, especially around the nose, chin, and forehead, where blackheads often gather most easily. If sunscreen, makeup, or heavier skin products have been worn during the day, remove them thoroughly but in the evening, so residue does not remain on the skin overnight. Choose non-comedogenic products when possible, and be cautious with very heavy oils, greasy balms, thick styling creams, or pomades that can migrate from the hairline onto the forehead and temples. Moisturizer still matters even if the skin feels oily, because over-cleansed or dehydrated skin can become irritated and unbalanced, and a light moisturizer often helps the skin feel calmer and more comfortable over time. Daily sunscreen also matters because protecting the skin from too much sun supports overall skin health and reduces the temptation to overuse strong products out of frustration. Small hygiene habits matter too. Change pillowcases regularly, use clean towels, wipe down eyeglasses and phone screens, and try not to rest the face in the hands for long periods. If you sweat after exercise, yard work, commuting, warm weather, or a long day outdoors, rinse or cleanse the skin as soon as practical, so sweat, oil, and residue do not sit on the surface longer than necessary. If scalp oil tends to move onto the forehead, wash the hair regularly and keep heavier hair products away from facial skin whenever possible. Some people benefit from gentle leave-on ingredients such as salicylic acid to help keep pores clearer over time, and some do well with a retinoid if their skin tolerates it, but stronger is not always better, and steady use is usually more helpful than jumping from one harsh trend to another every few days. Pore strips may remove some surface debris temporarily, but they do not stop future blackheads from forming by themselves, and repeated rough use can irritate sensitive skin, so it is usually wiser to focus on steady daily habits instead of chasing quick fixes. Avoid squeezing, scraping, pinching, or picking at blackheads, because that can cause redness, swelling, irritation, broken skin, and lingering marks while doing very little to prevent the next clogged pore from forming. It also helps not to inspect the face too aggressively in magnifying mirrors, because normal skin texture can begin to feel like a major problem when it is really just part of being human. Wash hats, pillowcases, and anything that rests against the forehead regularly. Keep makeup brushes and sponges cleaner than many people remember to do. Be thoughtful with thick or greasy products that stay on the face for many hours, especially in warm weather. Try not to switch products constantly out of frustration, because skin often responds better to calm consistency than to panic. If a new product burns, stings strongly, or leaves the skin much redder, drier, or more uncomfortable, reduce it or stop it and return to a simpler routine. Regular sleep, a balanced routine, lower stress where possible, enough water, and patient habits support general well-being and may also help the complexion look steadier. If clogged pores become painful, inflamed, widespread, or resistant to gentle home care, guidance from a licensed dermatologist is much wiser than escalating with rough self-treatment. Blackheads are common, and having them does not mean the skin is dirty or that someone has failed. It usually means the pores are behaving the way pores sometimes do in everyday life, which is one reason older people often appreciate practical advice more than flashy promises, because after enough years, most people learn that gentle consistency solves more problems than dramatic overreaction, and that lesson was exactly what 76-year-old June Ellison McRae was thinking about on a warm Thursday afternoon in Pine Meadow Village, a retirement community just outside Greenville, South Carolina, when she stood in her kitchen, holding a Pyrex dish of baked spaghetti and trying to decide whether she was a good enough Christian to return a casserole dish, without also returning the note tucked beneath the aluminum foil that read, in careful blue handwriting, "Where in 14B says this is too salty. He is lying." June had been widowed for 9 years, lived in a one-story brick duplex with pale shutters and 2 potted ferns she spoke to only when they looked ungrateful, and had spent most of her adult life as the office manager at a dental practice, which meant she trusted labels, handwriting, and direct answers more than she trusted charm, spontaneity, or any man who said he was just seeing what happens. Pine Meadow Village was the sort of community where afternoons moved at 2 different speeds, one slow and one very fast, depending on whether gossip had found a vehicle. It had 1 clubhouse, 1 pickleball court, 1 suspiciously busy gazebo, and 4 ladies who always seemed to know when a casserole had changed hands before the recipient did. June's closest friends were Loretta Mae Dean, a retired beautician, with a weekly hairset and the permanent conviction that lipstick was an act of citizenship; Ethel Simmons, a former church pianist who spoke softly enough to make people lean in, and then regretted what they heard, because it was often too accurate; and Frank Rollins, a retired hardware store manager with a cane, a dry voice, and the ability to identify a weak lawn chair from 40 feet away. Every Thursday, the 4 of them met on June's back patio for coffee, cookies, and the post-lunch review of human behavior. That particular Thursday, however, June arrived with the casserole dish and the note. Loretta put down her cup at once. "Whose handwriting is that?" June looked offended. "The first question is not, why do I have a secret note in a casserole dish? The first question is, why am I living in a place where casseroles now come with commentary?" Frank held out his hand. June passed him the note. He read it once, then again, then handed it to Ethel, as if it were evidence in a quiet crime. Ethel smiled so slowly it looked dangerous. "Well," she said, "someone has begun speaking plainly." The widower in 14B was Eugene Talbot, 79, retired insurance broker, owner of 2 windbreakers in the exact same shade of brown, and a man whose face had the permanent expression of someone who had tasted a tomato and found it personally disappointing. He was not rude. That would have been simpler. He was merely exacting in a way that could become theatrical if not watched. If you served him pie, he would tell you the crust had enthusiasm, but not enough discipline. If you showed him a remodeled sunroom, he would say the workmanship was visually hopeful. If you asked how he was feeling, he would often say, reasonably assembled. 3 months earlier, he had moved into 14B after his daughter decided he should no longer live alone in a house with stairs and a dog named Chairman. A beagle who had immediately decided Pine Meadow belonged to him morally if not legally. Since then, Eugene had attended every potluck, every movie night, every holiday breakfast, and exactly 1 line dancing class, which he left after 9 minutes, saying, "This is simply organized orthopedic risk." The note, however, had not come from Eugene. The handwriting belonged to Margaret Jo Wilkes in 11C, a woman known for 2 things, sour cream pound cake and polite irritation. Margaret Jo was 78, immaculate, quick with a casserole, and the last person anyone expected to smuggle commentary under baked pasta. "Why would she send this to you?" Loretta asked. June looked at the dish. "Because she thought I was the one delivering it to him." Ethel lifted one eyebrow. "And were you?" June shifted in her chair. "I might have been on my way," Frank grunted. "Then the question is not why she wrote it. The question is why she felt the need. There are few forces more powerful in a retirement community than a mystery that is both petty and low stakes. It gives people purpose without blood pressure." Within 24 hours, the casserole note had become the subject of at least 8 private porch conversations, 2 hallway ambushes, and 1 excessively innocent question from the activities director, Kelsey, who was 28 and still believed older adults enjoyed fun little surprises. "Did someone write a love note?" she asked brightly. "No," said June. "Worse. It had context." The next morning at the mailbox pavilion, where news in Pine Meadow moved faster than official email, Doris from 7A said she heard Margaret Jo and Eugene had history. Sandra from 3F said she heard they had once served on the same Methodist finance committee and did not agree on ham. Loretta said none of that mattered, and what mattered was that June now had a moral obligation to find out whether Eugene was in fact too quick to criticize seasoning. "That is not a moral obligation," June said. "That is idle meddling in orthopedic shoes." "Exactly," said Ethel. which is why we are qualified." So began the quietest investigation ever conducted with pound cake and lawn chairs. June, being the only one among them with even a shred of remaining self-restraint, refused to question anyone directly. Instead, she observed, Eugene attended Friday coffee and mentioned, unprompted, that most baked pasta dishes suffered from emotional oversalting. Loretta nearly kicked June under the table from sheer triumph. Saturday, at the community rummage shelf, Margaret Jo donated 3 decorative soup mugs and told the volunteer they had seen enough disappointment for one life. On Sunday, Chairman the Beagle escaped Eugene's patio and was found on Margaret Jo's porch licking the edge of a cooling cornbread pan, while Margaret Jo stood over him, saying, "You're just like your owner, no sense of boundaries and terrible timing." Chairman wagged. Eugene arrived 3 minutes later, breathless and offended, and said, "Madam, I apologize for the dog." Margaret Jo replied, "The dog has better manners than you." Then she handed Chairman half a sausage biscuit. June heard all this from Patty at 9D, who had witnessed it through a lace curtain and considered herself a neutral source. "So," said Loretta that afternoon, "we now know there is history, food, and insult. This is not casual." June refused to be pulled in deeper. She returned the casserole dish, washed and empty, with a plain thank you note. Margaret Jo took the dish, looked at the note, and said, "You read it, didn't you?" June, raised properly, answered, "I would have had to be dead not to." Margaret Jo actually smiled. "Then let me save you some time. He always says things are too salty." "Are they?" June asked. Margaret Jo sniffed. "That is not the point. Now, there are 2 kinds of older Americans in a retirement community. The first kind says that is not my business and means it. The second kind says that is not my business and then makes banana bread because it would be irresponsible not to have snacks while finding out the truth." June discovered, to her own mild disappointment, that she belonged more to the second group than she had hoped. Over the next 2 weeks, Pine Meadow Village became a laboratory of casseroles, side dishes, soups, and baked goods, all crossing the tiny lawns between duplexes, while a low-grade question floated under every conversation like pollen. Was Eugene actually too critical, or was Margaret Jo too proud? Had there once been a flirtation? Had the Methodist ham incident been romantic sabotage? Was Chairman helping, or worsening anything? The answer, maddeningly, was not immediately clear, because Eugene criticized everybody's cooking with equal opportunity. He told Bill from 2B that his chili had too much cumin confidence. He told a church volunteer that her lemon squares had excellent optimism but unstable crust philosophy. He described one grocery store rotisserie chicken as aggressively adequate. This should have exonerated Margaret Jo, but it only made him more irritating. Then, one Tuesday, during the weekly beanbag toss in the clubhouse, truth took a small step toward daylight. Kelsey, still searching for cute ways to build community, announced a new program called Neighbor Potluck Spotlight, in which 2 residents would be paired to cook a shared dish and tell a short story about it at Friday supper. The room groaned the way older people groan when forced into organized intimacy. Kelsey, tragically unaware, pulled 2 names from a ceramic bowl. "Margaret Jo Wilkes," she said, smiling. The room shifted.